Welcome to the main Moose module on the history of genocide and the Holocaust. Just a quick warning, the Holocaust was a very dark time in human history. What you're learning may make you feel sad or angry. Some of the images you see or find online might be disturbing. Please take care of yourself, use breaks, and if you're on the module, use the SEL toolkit or talk to a trusted adult if you need. Onto the what and the who of the Holocaust. What was it and who was involved? The Holocaust was a systematic destruction of European Jews by the Nazis. Although they had a great deal of help and support from collaborators in other countries, the Nazis, led by Adolf Hitler, viewed the world through a racial lens. This means that they felt that the Aryan race, blonde-haired, blue-eyed Germans, were superior to all other races, and they needed to eliminate non-pure Germans, and Jews were considered subhuman by their standards. The Nazis used propaganda to lie to the German people about Jews to make them scared, fearful, and hateful towards Jewish people, which led to them being persecuted, and violent acts were committed against them. It was easy to move them into different areas called ghettos, which separated them from the main population. And once they were separated, and in 1941, when Germany invaded the Soviet Union, the Nazis began a more systematic program of murder. While Nazis also persecuted and murdered many other groups, including Roma and Sinti, homosexuals, political enemies, prisoners of war, people with disabilities, people of color, the Jews were the primary target for complete and only target for complete extermination. So let's move on to the victims. Let's learn a little bit more about the Jewish people. In Europe at this time, there were about 9.5 million Jews who lived across Europe, from Scandinavia to Greece, as well as the Russian Empire, the Middle East, and North Africa. About 6 million Jews and 1.5 million children were killed during the Holocaust. And this was all because of this Nazi idea of eugenics, a movement of purification, of trying to find a scientific way, which it was more pseudoscience, of trying to create or identify a more perfect race of people. So Jews in Europe, Eastern Europe, there were about 8.5 million of them, primarily living in these small towns called shtetls. They spoke Yiddish, celebrated holidays, religious traditions, had music, spirituality, celebration, and very vibrant culturally. By the time the Industrial Revolution happened at the turn of the century, they began moving to cities and contributing to the culture, and really became integral to urban society. So let's take a look at the perpetrators. Who was responsible for this? Oh, looks like I put a D instead of a P there. That is a P, I promise you. So, perpetrators. The Nazis were the perpetrators of the Holocaust. They were led by Adolf Hitler. Other important Nazis that you might have heard about include Heinrich Himmler, the head of the SS or the secret police, Reinhard Heydrich, the head of the Gestapo and the intelligence service of the SS, and Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi propaganda minister who was responsible for lying to the public to try and have them hate and fear Jewish people so that they could normalize the terrible behavior through violence, isolation, and eventually extermination of the Jewish people. So let's move on to the bystanders. bystanders or people who saw what happened chose to look away. They said nothing. And as the behavior became more normalized and more serious, it was harder and harder to speak up. And many times, these were individuals that benefited from the Jews losing their jobs and places in society because they had to be replaced by people who were of, quote, pure blood and were deemed pure Aryans. So, benefiting from this, allowed a lot of people not to speak up. So, thank you for listening to the who and the what of the history of genocide and the Holocaust. Please head on over to our next section in the module. If you need to take a break, please access our SCL toolkit or a trusted adult. Thank you very much.